Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to Byju's Exam Prep IAS and welcome to today's webinar on Yojana and Kurukshetra. Today we'll be discussing the Yojana of August month 2022 and Kurukshetra of July month 2022. So what we will be discussing is Yojana and Kurukshetra are some important magazines which all the UPSC aspirants, or at least those aspirants who are serious enough, will be studying. Yojana and Kurukshetra, studying the entire magazine is a completely different thing. You don't have to do it. What we have done is we have taken the important points or the important topics out of the Yojana and Kurukshetra and we have made a session out of it. Why to spend your entire time and go through the entire magazine when you can get the gist of the current affairs or the important points in just 2.5 hours? So Yojana and Kurukshetra are very important, especially from your mains point of view. Why? Because in mains you have to write the answers. When you are writing the answers, you have to make sure your answers are better than those of the other aspirants who are writing. So how to make sure your answers are enhanced enough, or your answers have those points which are not there in an average UPSC aspirant's paper, by going through the important topics which are explained in Yojana and Kurukshetra. So today we have taken some topics, 5 important topics we have taken based on 2 important themes. One is the modern history and second one is the water crisis. From modern history perspective, you will always have questions. That is something which you will compulsorily get in your prelims as well as in mains. And water resource is something you can just go through the previous year question paper and you can identify, or you can get to know that a lot of questions are there based on water crisis or the importance of water resources in India. From GS1 perspective, GS3 perspective, sometimes even in GS2 you will be getting such questions. So go through the webinar completely and get to know everything. It will surely help you in the mains answer writing. So having said that, let's start with the session. Before going through the topics, I'll give you a brief idea about the interface of the Byju's Exam Prep app. Once you log into the Byju's Exam Prep app, how to log in? You will get option of logging in through the mobile number, or you can also continue with Google. Once you click on continue with Google, this will how the screen will be looking like. Here you will be getting all the courses, the important courses which Byju's Exam Prep is providing. Since you have enrolled for the IAS course, you can start with the IAS. You can click on IAS. The next interface will be looking like this. You will get 2 options, IAS and IAS Hindi. Since you have enrolled for the English course, you can click on the IAS option. Once you click on that, if you are a student who have enrolled for the Byju's tablet program, the interface will be looking like this. If you have enrolled for the Byju's home learning program, the interface will be looking like this. And if you are a tablet learning program student, you can click on the home section. Once you click on the home section, you will get all the videos. You just have to scroll through. You will get all the subject videos which you have to go through. And for the home learning program students, for those people who are going to attend the live classes, there will be an option called My Classroom. You click on My Classroom and you will be able to see whatever class is scheduled for you, and you will be able to attend those classes too. All right. So having completed that, let's start with the topics of the day. As I said, 2 important topics. Modern history is a very vast area, but today for this particular webinar, we have taken some topics which are not yet explored by the UPSC in the mains examination. How art and culture can be integrated with modern history. So this can be an avenue which the UPSC can explore in the upcoming times. And then the water resource, the crisis of water which we are facing in the recent times, the environmental concerns regarding this, etc. Let me give you a brief idea about the topic. First, role of art and literature in Indian national freedom movement. How art and literature played a huge role in the Indian national movement. Second, freedom movement in central India. Mostly when we talk about the freedom movement, we'll be talking about the southern part of the country or the northern part of the country. Sometimes the northeastern part too, but mostly we will not give too much importance to the central India. In the upcoming examination, there is a good chance UPSC can ask a question based on it. So we will explore about that topic also. Nature based solution for water management. For water management, whenever we talk about water management, we will take the route of scientific methods, we will take the route of the conventional methods which have been following in the last 10-20 years. But there are some nature based methods too which we can follow, which are very cost effective and extremely efficient too. Agni mission is a mission where technology is integrated to provide solution for the water problem, water crisis which we are having in the recent times. Keeping water resources clean. How to keep our water resources clean? How to provide effective water resources? How to make sure the water resources we have are not polluted? All these things will be covering in this particular topic. Having said that, let's start with the first topic of the day. Role of art and literature in Indian national freedom movement. How art and literature played a huge role in the Indian national movement. When we talk about Indian national movement, we think that huge leaders were there, very big leaders such as Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, etc., were there, and they tried to propagate the idea of a free India, the importance of getting freedom and independence, etc. But a huge role was played by the art and literature in developing a mindset of independence among the general population of the country. Just by someone telling something, people will not change, because that was the time when India was under huge poverty. Most of the people were under poverty, most of the people were not educated, they cannot understand what the leaders are telling. So people, the leaders, the intelligent section of the society, they started to propagate theater art, they started to propagate folk art, they started to propagate basic literature in regional languages which the people will understand. In this topic we will see how these topics, how these sections of the society came to get a very good idea about independence with the help of art and culture. Let's start with this. The context of this particular topic is the development of performing art through cinema and theater, which depicted India's heroic past, history, patriotism, culture, etc., to the general people. With the help of folk art, with the help of theater, with the help of cinema, etc., our people got to know about our own past. People were not aware of our past. People thought that we are second class citizen in our own country because British is ruling. They had an inferior complex. People such as Rabindranath Tagore, Abanindranath Tagore, etc., they propagated the idea that we are or we were a culture which was much superior than any other culture in the world. They propagated this idea through performing art, through cinema, through theater, through paintings, etc. How art and literature shaped India's struggle for independence. For this, if you are getting a question in your mains, how you will be writing? In the introduction, you will write that art and literature played a major role in India's independence because it propagated the idea of independence among the general section of the population. After that, you will have to mention how the art and culture were used by the national leaders to propagate this particular idea. The first topic is evoking national sentiments, nationalist emotions. People at that point of time did not know that India as a whole is a single country, or they were not aware of our glorious past. They did not know that we are a same country. They thought that the Maratha part of India is a separate country, the Tamil Nadu is a separate country, the Andhra region is a separate country, and the northern part did not have much connect with the southern part. So they had to be connected. How? With the help of arts, with the help of performance, with the help of theater. They started to propagate the idea of nationalism. Swadeshi art is one point which you should remember very well. In 1905, what happened? Bengal was divided into two. Bengal, which was a united single province, where a lot of people were talking about nationalism, where a lot of people were Western educated, they wanted to get independence from the British. The British identified this trend and they wanted to divide, because the Bengal region had a huge amount of Muslim population and then Hindu population. So Lord Curzon thought that let us divide the Bengal, let us divide the Hindus and Muslims, so that they will start to have their own issues, they will forget the British problem. Apart from several other reasons, this was the major reason. You might have heard about the divide and rule policy. So when this division of Bengal happened, Swadeshi art, Swadeshi literature, the idea of Swadeshi started to propagate among the people. The major leaders at that point of time, they said that British is trying to rule us by propagating their own culture in India. There is an idea called cultural colonialism. What is cultural colonialism? India has its own culture. The British has their own culture. So when the British is trying to rule India, they wanted to propagate their culture in the country. They thought that once we make them to forget their own culture, forget their own past, and propagate our culture to them, when they start to follow our own culture, they will feel that we are submissive to the British. We are dependent on the British for our day-to-day life. So this is what we call as cultural colonialism. The Swadeshi movement is a movement which was proposed or which started to prevent this idea of cultural colonialism. So leaders, with the help of art, with the help of performing art, with the help of drama, with the help of theater art, they proposed the idea of nationalism. They said to people that we are of a single country. For example, let's say there is a theater art. There is a drama going on in a village. In that village, no one is educated. But then our drama is going on, which depicts the heroic, the heroic attributes or the heroic acts of Chhatrapati Shivaji. People will get to know that we had such a king who was brave enough to go against the foreign invaders, who were brave enough to develop his own country. So people will get that emotion that we are descendants of such a heroic leader. So this is how people started to propagate the idea of nationalism, awakening the nationalist sentiments among the general population by religious overtones. How? When you give a religious idea and relate it with the nationalist movement, most of the leaders, they understood that people of India are very religious in nature. When you say that religion doesn't just talk about your own spiritual beliefs and ideas, religion talks about nation too. Conserving your nation is also a part of your religion. It is a part of your dharma. When such an idea is promoted, people started to believe that we have to save our country. Nationalistic poetries were developed, nationalist plays were developed, stories such as Vande Mataram, Amar Sonar Bangla, etc. Such songs were propagated through stories, through theater art. People got to know about these things. They got to get the idea of Vande Mataram. They got to understand the meaning of the entire song, and they started to sing it and they started to relate it with nationalism. Overcoming the linguistic barrier. India is a country of multiple languages. India is a country of multiple cultures. So how do we make sure each and every part of the country get the idea of nationalism? By propagating the ideas through local languages. A Marathi person have to identify himself with the nation if the idea is proposed in Marathi. The same with a Kannada person, the same with a Telugu person or a Tamil person. So that's how you promote a particular idea. He has to relate it with his own language. So all this art, culture, tradition, everything started to propagate in their own local languages. Local languages is something which is very, very important. Apart from that, creating an awareness about the day-to-day affairs. Now you have newspapers, now you have social media, etc. Think about that time. People will not know, at least they should be knowing that they are getting exploited by the British. So proposing or propagating awareness among the people was a very important task, and we had very less number of people who are western educated and who wanted independence from the British. Very good example is Rabindranath Tagore, Muhammad Iqbal, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, Qazi Nazrul Islam, etc. These people proposed the idea, or they wanted to promote the awareness among the people about nationalism, about independence, about patriotism, about a nationalist idea, by propagating the songs, propagating the literature, etc. And those two in a very simple manner, so that any person will identify, any person will be able to understand the meaning. Participation of women. Women occupied a large section of the population at that point of time, but most of them were restricted from the social issues. They were not even allowed to get educated. So the nationalist leaders understood that we have to include the women too. But if we just go to a family or go to a village and tell that you get your women into the into the schools, you get them educated, you get them involved in the nationalist movement, the people will not understand. We need to get this idea into their mind. How do we do that? With the help of poems, with the help of stories. A very good example is Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay's Devi Chaudrani. In this particular novel, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay introduces a character called Devi Chaudrani, who will lead a nationalist movement against the British. When people studies this, when people performs theatrical art based on this story, people got an idea that even women can do it, even women can be empowered. So seeing all these things, at least the educated section, or at least those section of the population which wanted freedom, which were involved in national movement, they started to get the women into their into the schools. They started to provide some kind of knowledge to women. Women also, even though they were educated, not educated much, they started to get into the streets after 1920 specifically. You can very clearly see that there was a large involvement of women in nationalist movement. Cultural nationalism is another idea. Indian people were always related to their own culture. They thought, they have this idea that their culture is supreme, or they have the idea that we have to save our culture, we have to follow our culture. The nationalist leaders also understood it. Cultural nationalism, linking the culture with that of the nation, linking the history with that of the nation. By every means they have to tell and get an idea that your nation is not just a boundary, it is not just the geographical area, it is the culture which you are following, it is the literature which you are following, it is the religion which you are following, the day-to-day practices, everything is related to the nation. This idea had to be promoted by the help of art and culture. Development of Bengali School of Art after 1905 specifically is a very good example. Bengali School of Art is a kind of a artistic movement which started in Bengal by leaders such as Abanindranath Tagore, who started painting based on Indian ideas. They proposed Indian ideas. They made the Indian culture famous through art forms. A tool of propaganda. They used it as a tool of propaganda itself. Very good example is Bande Matram, Yugandhar Patrika, Harijan Patrika. All these newspapers or journals, they started to propose the idea of nationalism. They started to propose the idea of independence. So people read this, they get to know that we also have to participate in such movements. Role of theater and cinema in freedom movement. How theater forms or cinema started to propose the idea of nationalism. Political interpretation to history. We have the we have our own history, we have our own historical heroes. Ashoka is there, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj is there, a lot of such heroes are there. Bring them into the theater forms, perform dramas based on their life. Girish Ghosh is one good example. He started Bengali theater arts. He started to put such kind of acts or such kind of historical acts into theater form. So people started liking it. The idea started to spread all over. People who watch the theater art, they will propose the idea to others. They will tell it as stories to others. People will get to know. Mythological plays which was started in the beginning of the theater arts. Mostly Ramayana, Mahabharat, such stories were played, but then in the later part they converted into historical plays. Based on history, they started to develop art. After that, in the later stage, especially in the 1920s, they started to perform art based on nationalistic ideas, based on their own imaginative ideas. They started to involve, or they started to play the dramas based on British atrocities also, which were severely curbed by the British, but it evoked the sentiment of nationalist feeling among the general population. They used the history to promote nationalism in the country. First Swadeshi play was Deen Bandhu Mitra's Neel Darpan. This is a very good example. Neel Darpan means Indigo Revolt. Deen Bandhu Mitra, he wrote the play of Neel Darpan. Indigo Revolt is a revolt in which the general peasants, general farmers of the northern Bengal and Bihar region, they revolted against the British. They said that you people are very exploitative in nature, and we will not continue this kind of exploitation. So this has to be spread to all over the country. People have to know that even peasants without any kind of weapon, they were able to revolt against the British, so that others will not take this exploitation. So this was proposed by Deenbandhu Mitra, and it continued. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, he was a visionary. He understood that this theater form and cinema will be taken very seriously by the people, because it directly captures the intellect of the people. People get it into their emotions immediately. So he said that we have to promote the theater art in the country. After that, once this theater arts was going on in a very good manner, in the 1920s and 30s, we started to develop talkies. Movie theater started to develop, and even here novels of Sarat Chandra Chatterjee, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, Rabindranath Tagore, who wrote nationalistic novels, these were converted into movies and they started to play in the theaters. So the theater and talkies are over. We'll go to the paintings. How paintings proposed nationalism, how paintings made nationalistic ideas or nationalistic trend among the general population. Bengal School of Art, I was mentioning, in 1905 Bengal School of Art started. So as a result of Swadeshi movement in 1905, once the Bengal School of Art started, a major hero of the Bengal School of Art is Abanindranath Tagore. Abanindranath Tagore, who is a nephew of Rabindranath Tagore, he was a famous artist. He started to publish those arts which are of Indian culture based on the history of India, based on the glorious history of India. A very good example of Abanindranath Tagore's art is this one, Bharat Mata. Indians are always emotionally connected with the idea of maternity. They have very good respect towards the women. Abanindranath Tagore understood this. He said, let me connect the entire nation to a mother. He painted this Bharat Mata art, and he said that this is the art of your own mother, who can be equated with that of your nation. Look at the hands of this painting. In one hand, the mother is holding paddy crop. In one hand, the mother is holding some kind of book or literature. In another hand, she is holding a rudraksh. In another hand, she is holding a cloth. So what does this mean? This means that this particular country, who is like a mother to you, she is able to provide you with food. She is able to provide you with literature. She is able to provide you with cloth. That means your day-to-day requirement. And finally, she is able to provide you with the idea of religion too, which will help you lead a healthy life. The mother is providing everything to you, and she is under distress at present because of the British colonial occupation. What are you doing for this? How are you going to get her out of this misery? Such a big idea is proposed in the minds of the people just by looking at a piece of art. That is why art is very, very important. Art creates emotion among the people. So Abanindranath Tagore painted Bharat Mata. Apart from Bharat Mata, he wanted to promote the history of the country too. He wanted people to understand the history of the country. How did he propose? How did he promote this idea? He started paintings such as the passing of Shah Jahan. You can go through Google and see this particular art. It is a very good art where Shah Jahan in his last moment, how he was. He was looking at the Taj Mahal and he was in the deathbed. So by making this painting, he is telling that Shah Jahan was an important personality in Indian history. You need to know about him. Similar paintings were painted by Abanindranath Tagore and his followers too. Another very good example is Raja Ravi Verma. Raja Ravi Verma was a very famous painter. His oil paintings are known all over the world. He started to paint Indian gods and goddesses. He started to take ideas from the Puranas, from our own epics, and he started to paint, which got familiarity all over the world. Nandlal Bose is another very important personality. He said that I will not follow the British idea of painting, because British idea of painting was very famous at that point of time. British were using oil painting. Nandlal Bose said, I will not follow this particular idea of British. I will follow the idea of the Japanese calligraphy strokes. He said that I can relate with Japanese calligraphy stroke because my country is very well related to the Oriental culture. Mahatma Gandhi became very well inspired by Nandlal Bose's paintings because his paintings depicted Indian villages, rural life. He used natural colors. He was able to bring in the life of rural India, the rural villages, etc. in his painting. Mahatma Gandhi said that he is an excellent painter. Let us use his ideas in developing or designing the Congress posters too. This is the contribution of Indian art, that is the painting. Now let's talk about the music and literature, how music and literature propagated the idea of nationalism. Socio-political reality of the time was converted into songs and they were sung by the people. Untouchability, caste distinction, denial of remarriage of widows, all these things were mentioned in poems. All the national leaders used the idea of writing poems, writing songs, or writing books which will be read by the general population. They used this method to create awareness against the social evils such as untouchability, against widow remarriage, etc. Rabindranath Tagore is a very important personality. Muhammad Iqbal, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay example are very good examples for propagating the idea of music and literature among the general population, nationalistic music and literature. Very good example for this is Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay's Bengali fiction, that is Anand Mat. In Anand Mat, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay tell the story of Sannyasi revolt. Sannyasi revolt which happened in 1882. He says that a group of sannyasis without any arms, without any weapons, they were able to go against the British, they were able to fight against the British. This shows that even the general population of the country, even though we are not technically skilled, even though we do not have much money with us, if we raise our hands together, we will be able to fight against the British. It was proposed in a small book called Anand Mat. The same way, Rabindranath Tagore wrote the national anthem Janagana Mana and Amar Sonar Bangla. These songs were sung all over the country. People liked the idea. In Janagana Mana, he mentions entire region of the country. He says, you belong to all these regions. So people started to incorporate the idea that we belong to such a great nation. So this was the contribution of music and literature. How did the British react to these things? This is something which we should be knowing. Indian national leaders, Indian poets, Indian artists, they were able to propose the idea of nationalism, patriotism among the general population with the help of music, art, literature, etc. But British will be reacting anyways. British are the rulers at that point of time, so they should be reacting. The first reaction was Dramatic Performances Act, Dramatic Performances Act 1876. So 1870s or the later part of the 19th century was the time when theater was going in a very good manner. the theater art forms were going in a very good manner. In the beginning, people who were Western educated, they were the one who were going to the theaters. But in the later part, when national leaders such as Girish Ghosh started to propose the idea that theater form should be made famous among the general population also, so that they will be having a very good idea about the day-to-day affairs. So at that point of time, even the general population started to go and witness the theater forms. When that was happening, British got afraid. They got the fear that if this keeps continuing, general population of the country, who were very submersive in nature, who were just following the rules and regulation which were given by the British, they will rise against the British. They will rise against the colonial rule. So they proposed an act, Dramatic Performances Act 1876. In this act, they said that they restricted the public theatre from using overtly subversive political messages. They said that theaters can run, but if you are running a play there, it should not be against the rule of the British. It should not create an idea which is against the rules or policies of the British. If you are doing that, we will ban your theater from playing any kind of art forms. So this was a rule, this was a major act which tried to restrict the theater art forms. Power was given to the local governments to censor or stop the performance completely. So in the later part of 20th, I mean in the beginning part of the 20th century, what happened, this particular act was used by the police and the local government. They used to come and they used to witness all the theater arts. Even if they see or even if they interpret that there was a small message which criticized the British rule or British policies, they will immediately stop the play. Second one was Vernacular Press Act 1878. Lytton proposed this particular act. He passed this act. In this act, why this particular act was brought in? Because there were English newspapers, English journals which was going on in the country. Apart from that, vernacular languages were also giving a lot of newspapers and journals. Most of the people in the country, they were not Western educated. Only a small section who was working in the colonial British or who were of the higher section of the country, they were English educated. But the general population were educated in their own languages. They were able to read and understand their own languages. So British thought that we have to restrict this vernacular press. Restrict in the sense, the vernacular press who gives newspapers in local languages such as Hindi, Telugu, Kannada, Tamil, Malayalam, etc., they should not propose the idea of nationalism. So what it said that in each and every district, a district magistrate will be there. This district magistrate will monitor all the press. If there is a press who is publishing any article which is against the British, that will be immediately stopped. So a huge restriction was proposed and implemented on the vernacular press. India's Cinematograph Act. Later, when cinema became famous, Indian Cinematograph Act was passed in 1918, and even here it was told that you cannot make a movie which has any kind of scene which is against the British rule. Nationalistic movies should be completely restricted. So now we know that how art, culture, literature, how the theater forms, how songs, folk songs, etc., were playing a major role in propagating the idea of nationalism among the general population. Mahatma Gandhi said that unless and until you get the general people on ground and who will act against the British, who will raise their arms against the British, you will not get independence. The art and culture forms which started to flourish in the 20th century, in the beginning of 20th century and by the end of 19th century, actually did this. They propagated the idea of nationalism. So in the conclusion, you can mention that cultural nationalism in India during the freedom struggle grew as a result of great advancements in the field of indigenous art and literature. We started to develop our own art, our own literature. Whatever art and literature we had in the earlier times, that started to get revamped, and we started to develop those kind of arts again and again. This has contributed immensely in the course of freedom struggle too, to promote the idea of unity and fraternity among the general population. People from all over the country, from the northern end towards the southern end, from the western end towards the eastern end, they got to know that we belong to a single entity called India or Bharat. They started to identify themselves with a single country. All right. So, having gone through the topic in a very good manner, let's start with a prelims question. Who among the following is attributed with the famous painting, The Passing of Shah Jahan? I have discussed this in the session. So, let's see how many people are answering it. All right, students, the poll is launched. Start answering. We will have 1 minute time. A lot of students are already mentioning the correct option, but mention it in the poll too. All right, students, come on. Last 5 seconds. All right, most of the students have answered it. Very good. Those people who have scored the top marks in the leaderboard, congratulations. Keep answering. So the option D is the correct answer, because I mentioned Abanindranath Tagore wanted to propagate the idea of history. He wanted to make sure people understand our own history. So he started painting such as the passing of Shah Jahan. Right. Let's see one mains question. I will also give you a glimpse of how to write answer for this. Art is a reflection on society and the times. Discuss this statement in the light of development of performing art and literature during India's freedom struggle. A statement is given in the beginning. It says art is a reflection on society and the times. The real question starts from here. It says you to discuss. Discuss means you have to mention everything, whatever comes into your mind. You have to give a clear idea. Discuss means what? It's like a debate. You take one topic, you give the ideas from multiple perspective. Discuss this statement in the light of development of performing art, literature during India's freedom struggle. Performing art and literature. So first, in the introduction, you say that art and literature are very significant for a country, because a country is based on the culture in which they are living. People need to identify themselves with their own past or their own culture, and they will identify it with the help of the literature. They'll be identify it with the help of the dance forms, with the help of art forms. So a basic brief introduction. In the body, you will mention how this was helping in India's freedom struggle. You will give separate side headings. First side heading, you can mention the theater forms. Second side heading, you can mention the literature. Third side heading, you will mention art forms. Fourth, you will mention paintings. Under each and every side heading, you will write 3 to 4 points. And then you will conclude whatever conclusion I have given here. Previously, what we discussed, the same conclusion you can mention. Right. And see, one point I have to mention here, a lot of students are asking that I have just started the course. See, students, even you have just started the course, you do not worry if you are not able to understand any points. Whatever point you are not able to understand, you ask the question. We have subject matter experts who will be answering. In case if there is any question which is not answered by the end of the session, once the session gets over, you wait for 10 minutes, you ask the question. I will personally make sure your questions are addressed and answered. So do not worry about it. Watch the session. The things which we are discussing today is very, very important. Right. Fine. A small tidbit. This particular illustration which you are seeing, it is the illustration in Indian Constitution. This is illustrated in the original Indian Constitution under Part 3 of Fundamental Rights. When Fundamental Rights page starts, it starts with this particular illustration. This is the illustration of Lord Sri Ram, Sita, and then Lakshman. Why Lord Sri Ram is mentioned here? Because it is told that Ram was one king who provided rights to his own people, who understood that people need some basic rights. He was the first king to do that. That is our culture, that is our heritage. So when we are mentioning the constitution, when we are giving political democracy to the people, we have to make sure our culture is also related here. People should be able to identify it based on their culture. That is the reason this is mentioned here. Let's start with the second topic, freedom movement in Central India. This is not a very big topic, but students, it is very, very important from your examination perspective. As I said, modern history is a topic which have very limited kind of syllabus. In modern history, you cannot expect a lot of current affairs because it is history, it's already done. So UPSC will try to get questions from different points, different point of view. One good point of view is the independence movement in Central India. Central India, the present day Chhattisgarh, the southern part of Madhya Pradesh, the eastern part of Maharashtra, some part of Andhra Pradesh, etc., Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, etc. This is called as the Central India. Why the freedom movement in Central India is not much famous, or which is not told much to the general population, is because most of this region were occupied by the tribal population. Tribal population also revolted against the British even before the 1857 revolt. We need to have a very good idea about it. We need to know about each and every aspect of our past. So we will discuss this particular topic today. What is the context of this topic? Tribal people had revolted against the British in India time and again, even before 1857. Very good, a very good perspective about Central India you will get when you know the history a little bit. Before British, the entire Central India belonged to the Maratha kingdom, the Maratha Empire. When Raja of Raigad signed a treaty with the British East India Company, he made Raigad a part of the government. The Marathas, once the Anglo-Maratha war ended, at that point of time, Marathas were not able to control most of the part of their kingdom. So they said that let the British take care of it because we are not able to fight against the British at present. So Raja of Raigad signed a treaty, and this treaty made sure the entire Central India goes completely into the control of the British. So they annexed the Maratha Empire after its defeat in the war at Nagpur in 1818, and this began the rule of British in the Central India, especially those regions which we call as Chhattisgarh in the recent times. So this is how it all started. The tribals had their own culture. For a long time, the tribals were living away from the general population. They were living in the forest. They were isolated. They were living in a very happy manner. When the region completely got into the hand of the British said, from now on, you live in forest. Forest belongs to us. We will be deciding what is the rule in the forest. You cannot collect the wood from the forest. You cannot make use of anything from the forest because forest belongs to you, belongs to us. If we say you can take firewood, you can take firewood. If we say you cannot hunt animals, you cannot hunt animals. So all the exploitation will be done by the British, but the tribals cannot even take anything for their own general livelihood. tribals who were living in the forest from the ancient times, they were living in a very prosperous manner. They were living according to their own customs. They were not disturbed by the general population. Even when Ashoka was there, even when Chandragupta Maurya was there, there are a lot of literature which mentions about the tribal people. They said that the tribal people make sure the forests are conserved, because tribals are directly dependent on the forest for their general life, and tribals do not exploit because they do not have a kingdom. They just have to live their day-to-day life. So they will conserve the forest will give whatever they want. So it is a symbiotic relationship. So Ashoka says that the tribals should never be struggled. This continued even during the Mughal period. Even when the Mughals invaded most of the country, they said that let us not disturb the tribals, let them live in a peaceful manner. But when British came, they said that we want all these resources. British is an industrialized country. They wanted wood for building railways. They wanted minerals for building their own factories. So they started to exploit the forest. So here, a multiple revolt or revolutions happened. We just need to have a basic idea about it. Let me go through this. You just note it down, whatever the important points I'm telling. Very, very important for your mains examination. First one, Halba Rebellion, 1774 to 1779. It took place for 5 years. Here, what happened? There was a king called Ajmer Singh. He was the king of the Bastar region of Chhattisgarh. He fought against the British and another king called King of Jaipur. He fought, he took the support of the entire tribal people in the region, and he was able to defeat the British. So Halba rebellion is very, very important. Second one, tribal rebellion in Bargar region. It happened in 1833. By this time, the British has become really powerful. The first Halba rebellion happened in 1774. Later, the British understood that tribals are powerful and we have to use proper force. So there was a rebellion in Bargar. Ajit Singh, the king of Bargar, fought against the British, but he was not able to control the British. Next one, tribal rebellion in Tarapur region of Maharashtra. Here there was a leader, Dalganjan Singh. He was actually the administrator of Tarapur, who was appointed by the British. The British told him to collect taxes from the tribals. But looking at the sad state of the tribals, he said, this is extreme amount of exploitation. I cannot do this. He said, let us revolt against the British. He collected all the tribals of that particular region and he started to revolt against the British. But he was captured and he was killed by the British. Tribal rebellion in Dantewada region. In the Dantewada region in 1842, again a rebellion happened. Here this rebellion happened because the British said most of the culture, most of the practices followed by the tribals are not good. A very good example is human sacrifice. There were some tribes who were extremely primitive, who practiced human sacrifice. Well, let's just say that human sacrifice is not good. It is against the law. But then tribals had their own laws. They did not know about the modern law. What is a good approach? As a government, the government should educate the people. They should tell that these are very primitive practices. They should understand why these tribals are practicing this. They can educate the tribals. They can give them a basic idea and try to convert these things, these practices. But then British said, from now on, you will not follow all these things. These are against the law. Tribal said, who are you to tell which is the law and which is the regulation? This has been our own place. We will follow whatever we want. So the the tribal started to revolt against the British, but then British completely controlled the entire region. The revolt was completely defeated, and after that a permanent military system was established in the Dantewada region because British thought these tribals are very, very dangerous. Revolt of 1857 in Sonakhan region. There was a tribal landlord whose name was Narayan Singh. He was a tribal landlord, and at that time in 1857 there were zamindars and money lenders who were playing a major role in this particular region. There was a huge famine, and this Narayan Singh went to a money lender. He said the money lender was having a lot of wealth. He had a lot of paddy crops saved for himself, which he thought he will sell and make a lot of profit. Narayan Singh went and he asked, lend us some paddy because we are under huge famine. The moneylender said we can't. He revolted. He took all the paddy resources from this moneylender's place and he distributed to the general tribal population. The moneylender went and complained to the British. British took it as a robbery, and the British arrested Narayan Singh and hanged him publicly. Bhumkal of Bastar. There was a leader called Gundadhar. There were a tribal people called Muria tribes. He, along with the Muria tribes, revolted against the British. He said, this is our land. We will occupy the entire region. We will get the British out of this region and we will establish it as a Muria Raj, a kingdom of Muria. But he was not able to do it. He was defeated completely by the British. Jungle Satyagraha, this is one of the most important Satyagraha because it happened on the lines of the Gandhian idea. Even tribal people understood the ideas proposed by Gandhi, because Gandhi said that if you use force, you will always lose because you are not strong enough in that way. But Indians are always strong in their own morals. Indians are hardworking. Indians are spiritually strong. So he said Satyagraha is the way forward. The tribals understood this. The tribals of the central India, they were heavily exploited by the forest department. There were a lot of laws, such as you cannot go into the forest and collect the firewood, you cannot collect the minor forest produce, etc. So the tribal people revolted against them. In a peaceful manner, they conducted a satyagraha, and then this is one movement which is comparatively successful, because the British in the later part, they reduced the strictness of the laws and regulations. Basic causes why tribal revolt happened in India. As I mentioned, tribals were completely isolated from the general society, but then they revolted against the British. One of the major reason is settled agriculture. Tribes were following slash and burn agriculture. Slash and burn agriculture. Slash and burn means tribals did not want a lot of profit. They just wanted food for their own survival. So tribals will go to a particular region. They will cut down all the trees. They will burn it. Whatever they have burnt, the burnt remain will act as fertilizer. They will do agriculture there and then they will move on to some other place. They were nomadic in nature. When British came, British said that this kind of practice is not good. You cannot cut down all the trees. This will not give you any amount of profit. Let's do settled agriculture. They said, let's occupy the entire land. Let's convert the entire land into agricultural field. We will give the land to some zamindar. The zamindar will control the entire land, the outcome, etc. He will pay the taxes. Whatever tribal people are there, you will work under the zamindar. This upsetted the tribals completely. Tribals started to revolt. This is the first point. Introduction of outsiders. As I mentioned, zamindars, money lenders, they came to the tribal region. Tribal region where the tribals were living from the ancient period for thousands of years. There, the British introduced some outsiders from Gujarat or Rajasthan or from Maharashtra, and they said, you occupy the entire region. We will give protection. You occupy, you do agriculture, whatever output you are getting, you pay taxes to us. This was also against the tribal spirit. Private ownership. Tribals never claimed ownership of any land. According to tribes, if they live in a forest, they will use the forest resource, they will live and they will die. But when British came, British said that let's make a register. Let's register this particular land in the name of a zamindar, and let us give him a patta. Let's say that this entire land belongs to you. So tribal land went into the hand of the private landholders. This was also against the tribal spirit. Society became non-egalitarian. Tribals consider everyone as equal. In tribals, there is no division. Whereas in general population, there are a lot of division. There is a division of a ruler. And then there is a division of subjects. There is caste division. Different types of caste are there. Different types of caste have different types of statuses. When tribes were exposed to all these things because of the British rule, they became very upset. They said that our identity is lost. We are not having a proper identity in the British rule. We are losing our identity, so that has to be regained. That is another reason. Government, the British government formed acts such as the Government Forest Act of 1865, Indian Forest Act of 1878. With these acts, the British government said the entire forest region belongs to us. We will make use of all the resources, and if you are making use of any resources from the forest, you should get permission from the British government. So this is complete breach of the property, breach of their livelihood resources. This was also a factor which upset the tribal population of the country. Introduction of Christian missionaries. British thought, let us introduce our religion in this country so that the people will follow the morals or follow the teachings of the Christian missionary, so that they will be submersive to us, they will follow us. So this was the basic idea, and that is the reason why Christian missionaries were taken into the country, and they started to spread the idea of the religion of Christianity. Among some tribals of northeastern part of the country, they were able to convert the tribals into Christianity because they were providing the basic resources such as education, health, etc. But in the central India, this was not possible. One thing, they were not able to give good resources, and the tribes of central India were very confident in their own customs, their own culture, etc. When the Christian missionaries came and propagated the idea of Christianity, they said, who are you to tell that our customs and culture are primitive? So this completely was against the tribal culture. Taxes on traditional use of timber. So the British said, if you are using timber, if you are using any kind of resources from the forest, you should be getting our permission and you should pay taxes to us. This was also against the tribals. So we saw that the tribes had several kind of revolts, but then most of the revolts failed. Almost all the revolts failed. Very few revolts were able to make some normal changes in the administration of the British. Why this happened? One of the major reason is they were all localized in nature. That means when a movement is happening, the movement should garner support from all over the country. Here, tribals movement were very localized. They included the topics or the themes which were related only to the tribals. They were not concerned about the general population. So because of this, there was no support from the general population. The tribes had very small population. They were not armed. They did not have proper leadership. All these things were the factors. Lack of effective leadership, lack of nationalistic sentiments, because tribes cannot identify themselves with the idea of a nation, at least at that point of time. So the movement was very localized. They were not national in nature. Whatever movement they did, all of them had traditional idea. They were not modern ideas. With traditional ideas, with traditional weapons, they were fighting against an army which was the most modern army of the world at that point of time. Poor strategy and outdated weapons, all these things were the major factors. So I hope in this topic we have got a very clear idea that even the tribals contributed to our Indian freedom movement. There were a lot of tribal leaders. There are important tribes such as the Santals who opposed the British at every point of time. So the role played by the tribals has also to be celebrated at this point of time, especially in the 75th year of independence. We have to at least acknowledge that every section of the society had contributed towards this freedom which we are enjoying at this point of time. How will we conclude this? If it is asked in the question, you will write that the history of the freedom movement is about the collective consciousness. What is collective consciousness? Collectively, we are engaging everyone, all sections of the society. Let it be a Hindu, a Sikh, a Muslim, let it be an educated population, let it be the tribal population, let it be the population from Kashmir, or let it be the population from Tamil Nadu, let it be the northeastern population, let it be the population from Gujarat. Everyone contributed, and we have to identify this, we have to understand this, we have to acknowledge this. This collective consciousness also includes tribal consciousness to attain freedom. This can be your conclusion. Fine. So let's start with a prelims question. Which of the following state of independent India is associated with Halba rebellion, which occurred in 18th century? The first rebellion which we saw is the Halba rebellion, and I have mentioned, when I explained, I mentioned the state also. Let's see how many people are answering this particular question. All right, students, start answering. Come on, students, last 20 seconds. Let's start answering soon. All right, most of the students have answered. More than 75% have answered the correct option. It is Chhattisgarh. Congratulations, Ilakya, Abhijit, Devaya, etc. All those people who have answered right, congratulations. Be very careful when you are answering. Read the question very well, properly. That's why I say listen to each and every point which is discussed in the session. Some people were asking important rebellion such as Santal rebellion is not involved, because students, you will be studying about Santals and Munda rebellion in your modern history. You will get a very clear picture about it. Whatever rebellion we have discussed here, that is those are the rebellions which are not much popular, which you will not get in the book or in any other videos. So that's why you should be knowing these points. I mentioned in the beginning, you will get some points which others will not get from the NCRTs or the general books. That's why such sessions, that's why Yojana Kurukshetra is very, very important. So let's start with the mains question. Tribal appraisals. See, when you are reading a mains question, you should read the question in a very good manner. You should understand each and every terms and words mentioned. Tribal appraisals against Britishers intensified the people's resistance against British colonialism. Tribal revolts was against the British colonialism, and it actually intensified the movement. But history has not been fair in recognizing the contribution of tribal people in the freedom struggle. Critically analyze the statement. You can give a basic introduction. Indian nationalism is a collective nationalism which includes the tribals also. Tribals, especially those of the central India and the northeastern India, played a major role in the Indian national movement, or against the fight for the against a fight against the British. So this can be your introduction. In the body, you mention that India has seen a lot of tribal appraisal. It is true that most of the movements which we celebrate are movements which are popular among the general population, such as the non-cooperation movement, the civil disobedience movement, etc. But then tribal revolts are also very, very important. You can start with the popular movements such as Santals and Munda rebellion. You can mention about Halba rebellion and all the rebellions which we have discussed here. It is a 15 marker. I have provided you enough content for it. See, writing answers from the beginning is very, very important. I hope a lot of students here are beginners. How many students are just beginner who have just started with the preparation now? In the last 1 month or in the last couple of months? Yes. All right, a lot of people are there, okay, all right. So see, so for some of these people who have just started the preparation now, you may not be understanding some of the points, but what I suggest is, when you are attending a webinar, take a pen, take a paper, note down the important points, revise it once. when you get these topics in your general studies paper, let it be the modern history or let it be environment of ecology, once you read that, you will be knowing that yes, this was discussed in that particular class. I remember this, I can add these points here. So you will get such ideas. So start doing it whenever you are attending a class. Make notes, because in the mains examination, students, you are going to write answers, right? So a detailed idea should be there. You should be starting the practice of writing answers from now on. Write answers to the question which I am providing and send to targetias@byju's.com. It will get corrected, it will get evaluated, and you will get a detailed evaluation about it. Fine. So the freedom movement, the tribals, the art form, etc. are over. Let's start with another important topic of the day about the water resources. How do we manage our water resources? Almost everyone in the country would have faced some kind of water scarcity at some point of the time, because all states in India have faced water scarcity. Let it be any part of the country where you have major rivers such as Ganga, Yamuna, even there, water scarcity has happened in the country, because India is extremely populated, highly populated, with a very less amount of fresh water resource. And these freshwater resources are located in specific location. Getting water from that location to a very distant location is very, very difficult. That is why, as a person who is preparing for the UPSC examination, as a person who is going to be an IAS officer or some other civil servant in India, have to have a very good idea about management of water resources in the country. Let's start with the first topic, nature-based solution for water management. When we talk about water management, generally we say that we need to build a lot of dams, we need to build a lot of reservoirs, we need to build a lot of pond, well, lake, etc. But are these things effective? We have started building dams from 1947. We have started building reservoirs from 1950s, but it has not led to a situation where excess water is there. The nature has itself provided a lot of solutions to preserve water. So we have to use these kind of resources, we have to use this kind of measures to make sure the water is conserved, rainwater is harvested, groundwater is improved. So what are those solutions? How can we promote it in our day-to-day life? The basic context is traditional knowledge and solutions from nature have always played an important role in maintaining and restoring ecological balance. Nature has itself provided aquifer, nature has itself provided lakes, nature has itself provided some kind of resources such as wetlands, where water will be going and saving if rain happens. What we have done is, we have taken the lakes, we have taken the wetlands, we have dumped mud and sand there, we have built our own homes, our own buildings, residential apartments. So occupation of such lands, which are very important for saving the water resource, has resulted in water scarce situation or flood like situation. So these measures which are provided by the nature itself, or which our ancestors were following, such measures has to be brought in to promote drinking water resources, promote groundwater recharge, promote flood control, while ensuring livelihood opportunities for the people. This is the basic idea. Some basic facts which you have to know and you can use in your answers too. Let me tell you, India has only 4% of world's freshwater resource. Out of the entire water resource that is there in the world, freshwater resource, India has only 4%. But Indian population is around 18% of world population. This shows the disparity. We have just 4% of water, but we have 18% of population. So we are water scarce. First point. Second, surface water is 64% of usable water in India. Most of the water which can be used by the people are surface water. Surface water means the water that flows on the surface, such as river, lake, pond, etc. And these are the resources which are highly susceptible to pollution, highly susceptible to exploitation by the people. Third, irrigation sector uses the most, around 89% to 90% of the water is being used for agriculture and irrigation. We always think that it is the industries which exploit the water, but then we are using water unnecessarily for irrigation. Why I tell unnecessarily? Because whatever water we are using for irrigation, that is excess amount, we are actually exploiting. We can use drip irrigation, we can use sprinkler irrigation, and this will save the amount of water to a high extent, but till now we are not doing it. Then India is the largest user of groundwater. 70% of freshwater sources is contaminated, which is told by Niti Aayog, which is the policy think tank of the government of India. It says 70% of the freshwater sources is completely contaminated. We cannot use it. We already have very less amount of freshwater. Out of it, Niti Aayog says 70% is contaminated. If you are using it, you will get a lot of diseases. Per capita availability of water is 1486 cubic meter in 2021. This point is not important. Whatever point I have made a tick mark or underline, that is very, very important. What are the major challenges we face when it comes to water management in the country? First one, geographical vastness. India is a very vast country. Think about the Ladakh in the northern part of the country. It is a completely different geography, which is considered to be a cold desert, which has altitude of around 3000 meters from the ground level, from the mean sea level. Water is very less available there. Let us take the Ganga and Yamuna region. Banks of Ganga and Yamuna, high amount of water availability. Let's take the Rajasthan region, the desert region of Rajasthan, very less water availability. The arid region of Gujarat, very less water availability. Marathwada region of Maharashtra, very less water availability. The banks or the delta region of Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, excess amount of water availability. Very flourishing agricultural regions. India is a region which has all kind of geography. In some places we have excess water, in some places we have very less water. That is the first point. Second one, population in India, especially from 1960s till 1980s, increased like anything. It multiplied. In a very short period of time, when the entire population of the country is increasing, but the water is always the same, the amount of water resources is always the same, so it resulted in exploitation. Third, as I mentioned, most of the water we use, it is for agriculture. Around 70% of all water withdrawal in India and around 90% of fresh water utilization is for the agriculture, that is for irrigation purposes. Over extraction of groundwater. See, the number of rivers we have, the number of lakes we have, the number of ponds we have in the country, it is very less. So in most of the regions, what we will do is, we will use the groundwater. We will exploit the groundwater. We will do a borewell and then we will extract the water. Extremely highly populated urban areas, for example, the peri-urban area of Mumbai, Chennai, or the peri-urban area of Bangalore, the Kolkata, Delhi, etc. In all these regions, if you see, there is no major river. How are these regions which have extremely high amount of industries, software industries, high amount of residential buildings, how are they getting water? With the help of borewell. Complete exploitation of groundwater resources is happening in the country. Apart from all these things, one major point is climate change. Climate change has resulted in exploitation of the climate change has resulted in the glaciers melting. Climate change has resulted in changing of the pattern of the monsoon. Earlier, we used to get monsoon by the beginning of the June month, but then now it is happening even in April, by the end of April. Earlier, monsoon used to extend for 5-6 months. Now the monsoon just pours the entire rain in 1 or 2 months, and then after that we don't get any rain. All these different things are happening because of climate change, because of global warming. Right. So this has resulted in heavy pressure on the water use, water availability in the country. Apart from this, other issues, which general issues which we all know, deforestation. conversion of agricultural land getting converted into industrial land. For example, let's say that there is a 50 acre of agricultural land. Let us say this agricultural land is making agriculture of paddy, right? Paddy agriculture is going on here. Let's say in one season, in 3 months, this entire paddy the entire paddy field is using around 1 lakh liter of water. If we say that, if we assume that this paddy cultivated land is now sold to some industrialist, and they have come up with the industry here, and they are building some 4-5 residential plot here. Now industry requires extremely high amount of water. They will be consuming the water. If residential buildings, if apartments are coming up, multiple number of families, thousands of families will come and settle there. They want water for their own daily use. The amount of water which required earlier for 3 months, it was 1 lakh liter. Now this 1 lakh liter will be used in 2 or 3 weeks itself. So the amount of pressure for water has increased. Demand for water has increased. So how to solve this issue? By tapping on the groundwater, right? So that is one major issue, creating infrastructure beyond carrying capacity. That's what I mentioned here. When you take a land, when you build huge amount of factories, when you build huge amount of residential buildings there, the amount of water availability is less, but then the number of population and demand is high. This result in going against the carrying capacity. Carrying capacity means the amount of water which can satisfy the demand of the people, that is breached. Loss of wetlands and distortion of watershed. Wetlands are regions which can include lakes or ponds or swampland, etc. All these wetlands are converted into general residential area. This is one thing. Watershed is a region which gets water, which collects water from multiple parts. For example, let's say there is a small hill like this. There is a river flowing here. From this hill, there will be some stream that will be flowing down. The entire region is now considered as a watershed. So we just see the river, but in reality, the river is getting water from multiple streams. This also should be considered. We are just neglecting it. Because of this, water crisis is happening. Low water use efficiency. We are not using water in an efficient manner. Very good example is irrigation. We are not using drip irrigation or sprinkler irrigation, which may make use of the water in an efficient manner, but then we are just flooding the entire agricultural land with water. We are not using water in an efficient manner. So that is another major issue. We have seen the issue. Mostly all of us will be knowing the issues too. How we will use nature as a solution for this. First one, the basic idea is usage of tools provided by the nature itself. Nature has in itself provided us with a lot of tools which can be used to protect the water resources. Enhancing the existence of man-made infrastructure is also something which can be included in this. So for example, let's say that there is a huge piece of land and then there is a big lake here. At present, the lake is completely dry. The entire region is also completely dry. What we can do is we can rejuvenate this particular lake. We can remove all the mud. There will be a lot of houses. From all the houses, what we will do is when the rain is happening, we will collect the rainwater and we will have a tunnel system so that all the water will be coming into this particular lake. When water comes from all the region into this particular lake, the rainwater gets collected in the lake. The lake will make sure the water gets into the ground, and then the groundwater level can also get increased. Here you can actually use the pump. You can have a dig a borewell and you can extract the water, because whatever water you are extracting, again with the help of rain, you are getting it into the groundwater. So this is a nature based solution. Nature has already provided with the lake. Only thing we are doing is we are diverting the water to the lake. Such ideas should be promoted, such ideas should be propagated among the population, among the general village population, and also among the general urban population of the country. It will again generate more economic gains too. For example, if such a project has to be done, then people have to actually get employed. Fine. So in villages you have Manrega. What is Manrega? Manrega is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. I hope most of you are aware of it. If you are not aware, get to know about it. It is a scheme which was given to give employment to the general population, rural population who do not have any skills. People who are not able to find any skills, they will be employed by the government itself. So such employees are guaranteed a minimum days of work in every year. They are guaranteed with minimum wages. Such people can be employed to promote or to develop such infrastructure. If a village is having some water issue, if a village is facing issue of groundwater depletion, they can they can have a vision that let us build an artificial lake here, or if there is already a lake which is provided by the nature, let us just rejuvenate it. Let us repair that particular system, and we will make sure the water gets collected there. These people can get employed. It will generate employment too. It will generate economic activities too. Fine. So such things have to be promoted. A very good case study here is China's restoration of degraded Loess Plateau. If you see the map of the China, the northwestern part, that is in the top of the north of the Indian subcontinent, this region is a region which has high amount of water depletion. This is called as the Loess Plateau. It is like a desert region where the soil or the sand particles are very small in nature, so it gets carried away when even there is a heavy wind. Even if a heavy wind blows, the entire soil part will get carried away. In such case, what happens is exploitation of the entire region was there. The entire region was completely deforested. Huge amount of exploitation had happened, and it was very difficult to conserve water in that region because the soil is very unstable. It just get blown away even if a fast wind happens. So what the Chinese government did, it said that this region is a very poor region in the country. Let's make sure this region is rebuilt. How do we do that? Plant more trees. Trees and seeds can be provided. How can we plant these in this particular region? This region already have a huge amount of population. Let's give them some money. Let's get them employed. Let's call them as government servants and give them money. Tell them this is your work. Plant trees, conserve it, make sure the trees grow very well. Once the trees grow very well, the root of the trees will make sure the sand is captured at that particular region. The sand does not get blown away. Here again you can start agriculture. This was a very successful project which China did. Such projects can be done in India also. Nature-based solution for water management. Again, one big importance can be given to the mangroves. Mangrove forests are there in the delta region where rivers join with the ocean. Mangrove forests grow very well in this region. Mangrove forests are well known for carbon sequestration. Carbon sequestration means they will absorb the carbon in the atmosphere, they will convert into oxygen, or they will store the carbon within themselves. This will reduce the amount of carbon in atmosphere, which will result in a reduction of global warming. This will also make sure the sea water or ocean water does not get into the land. Let's say, for example, let's consider that this is the Bengal region. Here you have a lot of mangrove forest. If this mangrove forest makes sure the ocean water that is present here doesn't get into the land. If the mangrove forests are gone, the ocean water will get into the land. The entire delta region of Ganga will become saline in nature. You cannot make any agriculture there. The livelihood of the people will get affected. The groundwater will become saline in nature. So all these problems are there. So we have to protect our mangroves very well. Rainwater harvesting has to be made compulsory in every cities. Municipalities should take care of this. Municipalities should make sure river rainwater is conserved and harvested in the country. Rejuvenating local ponds, as I mentioned already, as I mentioned in that particular illustration too, local ponds, local lakes, all these things have to be rejuvenated. Watershed management, when I mentioned about a river, I told river gets water from multiple sources, multiple streams. The streams and sources also have to be preserved, have to be conserved. Then green landscape and blue green infrastructure, this is very, very important. This is one point most of the people will not be able to mention. Green structure means, green landscapes means, in the cities, when you are building a landscape, when you are building a construction, a structure, you should make sure it is green in nature. Green means it should use solar energy. It should not consume more electricity from thermal power plant or something else. It should make sure water is stored, water harvesting is there, water harvesting, rainwater harvesting plant is built within the building. That is what we call as blue green first structure. Blue means water, green means greenery. Enough amount of plants, enough amount of gardens, enough amount of park should be built around the building. That has to be promoted. Grey building infrastructure, grey building means the sanitation related. Whatever water you are using for your sanitation, that has to be constructed, that have to be reused, that has to be recycled and reused. You cannot drink that water, but you can recycle and use it for plants, use it for your garden. So that can be done. You cannot just waste a water which you have used just one time, that too for kitchen purposes or toilet purposes. You cannot tell that it is waste and I am just throwing it away. You can actually recycle and use it. So that has to be promoted. Life movement initiative is a very good initiative which you can quote as an example. It talks about mindful and deliberate utilization. Life movement initiative was proposed by the Indian government. There was a conference called the Convention of Parties 26. It was conducted in Glasgow. Here, the Indian government said, see, we understand, as a developing country, as a responsible democracy, we understand that we have to make sure the global warming is reduced. How do we do that? Just by promoting government schemes, can we do it? No, we cannot. We have to make sure the people are collaborated in it. The people get the idea that we have to conserve the nature, we have to conserve water, we have to conserve, we have to reduce the pollution of our air. This idea has to get into the mind of the people. So we promote the idea of mindful and deliberative utilization instead of mindless and destructive consumption of resources. The industries, the government, the people, everyone have to know that we have to deliberately and mindfully use the resources, because resources provided by the nature is limited. So if you need 10 liters of water to do a particular chore, you cannot use 30-40 liters, you have to use 10 liters only. And if you are able to reduce even more, that is the best thing. So this idea has to be promoted among the people to give awareness to the people. That is what the life movement says. Very good example is the sponge cities of China. What are sponge cities in China? In 2013, there were huge flood among all the major cities. All the major cities of China, because of heavy rain, they just went under the water. Just like how in India, cities such as Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, etc. just gets flooded when heavy rain happens. The same happened in China. But the Chinese government said that we cannot go on with this. We have to make sure this particular issue is resolved. So what they did, they came up with a concept called sponge cities. Sponge cities means the cities which absorb the water completely. Whatever rainwater they get, at least 70% of the water has to be used by the city itself, has to go inside the ground of the city. How do they do it? Out of the entire city, they said around 20% we will plant. Around 20% of the city, we will make sure there are greenery, there are enough amount of trees. So these trees will absorb the water. They will make sure there is no flood. The water will get into the ground. Because in most of the cities, what we do is we'll just pave roads, we will we will completely convert the entire land surface into concrete surface, so water will not be able to go inside the ground. Here, if you have 20% of the ground as normal ground with trees and greenery, the water will get absorbed. Apart from this, when you have drainage, you can very well see that most of the drainage in India are made up of concrete. China said that if you have concrete, the water will just flow away, it will not get into the ground. So what they said, let's convert the concrete structure into mud structure, strong mud structure. So when water is flowing towards this mud structure, mud canals or mud drainage system, the water will get inside the ground. So this was a very successful solution which Chinese government implemented. We can use this particular solution in our answer. We can actually implement it in India also. Government initiatives in water management. So we have seen all the problems. We have seen some case studies also. What has Indian government did in to prevent this particular issue? First, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchayi Yojana. To each and every farm, we need to provide water irrigation, and that irrigation should be efficient in nature. We have to promote drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation. We have to give some kind of benefit to the farmer so that he will adopt drip irrigation or sprinkler irrigation. Government should give some kind of benefits to those farmers who are ready to adopt such scientific irrigation technology in their farm. So this was the idea behind the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchayi Yojana. The motto was Har Khet Ko Pani, give water to each and every field, assured irrigation, reduced wastage of water, improve water use efficiency, promote micro irrigation. This is the most important point here. Second, Jal Jeevan Mission. Jal Jeevan Mission means Har Ghar Jal. Give water to each and every household. India is still facing a lot of problem. Most of the villages do not have drinking water pipeline itself. So let's give them water first. First give them water, then we can talk about water conservation. When people do not even have water, how do they get the idea of water conservation? This was the idea. So provide adequate and safe drinking water to every rural household by the year 2024. Years in this particular scheme is very, very important. Whenever talking about a particular scheme, when it targets to achieve something by a particular year, that year is very, very important for your prelims specifically. National Perspective Plan. National Perspective Plan is a very highly ambitious plan. It says that India has a lot of rivers. In some of the rivers, the amount of water that is flow is very high, but in some of the rivers, very less amount of water flows, which has resulted in drought. So what we can do is we can link all these rivers. When river which has highly extreme amount of water that is flowing, when it is linked with a river or a tributary which has less amount of water, this will result in water to those rivers or tributaries or those regions which are facing water scarcity. By doing this, we can prevent the entire drought condition in the entire country. But what are the major challenges? Is it very easy to link a river with another river? One river will be going on in a region, another river will be going on in a region which is around 500 kilometers away from this region. To link both the rivers, what you have to do, you will have to build a very big canal. When you are building a very big canal for around 500 kilometers, you have to make sure there is no people living there. If there are people living there, you have to evacuate them, you have to acquire the land. So it is a very big plan, very ambitious plan, and that is the reason it is not implemented till now. In this plan, it says 16 peninsular river and 14 of the Himalayan river can be integrated in a very constructive manner, but this is one plan which is just in the planning stage. It is not implemented completely. Crops diversification program. When green revolution started in states such as Punjab, Haryana, western part of Uttar Pradesh, some of the regions of Madhya Pradesh, etc., they started to develop very well because they were able to adopt the idea of green revolution. They got fertilizer, they got pesticides, they got high yielding varieties of crops. So the amount of production of rice, wheat, sugarcane, etc. in the country increased. But what has happened is the farmers started to just they started to just do agriculture based on wheat or rice, which has exploited the soil. Now we say that we have to make sure multiple crops are promoted. Commercial crops should be promoted. This is the idea behind the crop diversification program. We are telling that you just do not follow this idea of doing agriculture based on rice or wheat. Start producing oil seeds, start producing pulses, coarse cereals, nutri cereals, cotton, etc. You can actually get much better result, much better outcome based on these crops. The state governments are trying to promote this idea. Namami Gange mission. In Namami Gange mission, what we are doing? Integrated multi-sectoral mission to protect and conserve, rejuvenate the Ganga river. We are trying to protect the Ganga river. Ganga river is extremely polluted. We are trying to regulate the industries. We are trying to make sure whatever industrial polluted water that is getting into the Ganga, it is completely treated. These ideas can be implemented to all the other rivers also. National Water Mission. National Water Mission was implemented to ensure equitable distribution of water both within and across the states. How are we doing it? We are telling that we will give equal amount of water to all the regions, to all the citizens. How will we be able to do it? We will be able to do it if we are following integrated water resource development and management. Integrated water resource development and management means the central government, the state government, the local government such as panchayat, municipalities, the individual households, all accepting a set of rules, set of regulations, and then trying to implement all the principles in a same manner. By doing this, we will be able to make sure our water resources will be conserved, will be rejuvenated, will be able to make sure the groundwater level is increased. That is the idea behind this program. See, we have seen a lot of programs. These programs were implemented in a very good manner from the 1990s itself. But till now, we are not able to get very good result. The major reason is, if you take a river, for example, let's take Brahmaputra. Brahmaputra starts from Tibet, it flows through Arunachal Pradesh, it flows through Assam also. Here, when it flows through Assam and Arunachal Pradesh, the river doesn't know the geographical boundary. Geographical boundaries were made by human beings. We divided two different states as Arunachal Pradesh and Assam, but according to the river, same kind of geography is there. The river has the same amount of water. When this is happening, we should have an idea that to conserve the river Brahmaputra, we should have a plan. This plan has to be accepted by both the states. Single plan has to be accepted by both the states. The same with other rivers such as Ganga, Yamuna, etc. All the rivers. And we should have specific plan for each and every river. Just like how do we have for the Ganga, the same a similar kind of plan should be there for each and every river such as Krishna, Godavari, Kaveri, Brahmaputra, etc. Because each and every river has different geography, different kind of issues. If we are doing this in a very localized manner, based on the state government, based on the local government, with awareness among the people, we will be able to achieve the result. Coming to the conclusion of this question, we have to learn from the past. In the past, we have faced a lot of flood, drought, etc. Nature based solutions are the future. We have been using dams, reservoirs, etc. We were not able to get good result. The best way forward is using the nature itself. Resilience of cities, towns, rural area, people against changing climatic trends should be developed. With the rising global challenge of climate change specifically, when urbanization is happening in a very vast manner, biodiversity loss is happening, investment in nature-based solution is the way forward. Let us acknowledge the fact that nature is the best conservator. Nature has had its own solution to improve the groundwater condition, to promote water availability. Let us just follow it. That should be your conclusion. Right. So I was mentioning about the mangroves. A very good example I'll tell you. There is a place called East Kolkata Wetlands. East Kolkata wetland is considered to be the largest organic treatment plant in the world. Why? Because there is a huge amount of wetland, water is saved there, we have a lot of plants, we have a lot of fish species, we have a lot of beneficial bacteria which can break down all the toxic chemicals. Whenever industrial wastewaters are coming, the wastewaters are diverted to the East Kolkata wetlands. The beneficial bacteria is present here, the algae which is present here, it breaks down all the industrial waste, all the domestic waste. A lot of fishes are there which will actually consume this waste and which will thrive. This particular wetland, which is a small region of 12,500 hectare, it treats around 357 billion liters of sewage. Just a small wetland that can actually treat this much amount. If you have to build a water treatment plant, millions of rupees have to be invested, but nature has already provided a solution. Let's just follow it. So similar kind of ideas has to be promoted all over the country. Having said that, I hope you have understood the concept very well, you have listened to the concepts very well. Let us start with a question here. Which of the following can be methods used which of the following methods can be used under nature based solution for water management? Right. So read each and every point in a very concentrated manner. Give good concentration when such statement based questions are asked. When direct questions are asked, it becomes very easy, but for these questions it becomes a little difficult. First one, rejuvenating local ponds. See, I'm going very slow. Read the statements very well. Rejuvenating local ponds. The question is asking about nature based solution. Rejuvenating local ponds, enhancing natural ecosystem services, developing grey infrastructure, creating artificial rain, a life movement initiative. If you have listened to the topic with very good concentration, I'm very sure you will be able to answer it properly. Let us start the poll here. All right, students, start answering. All right, last 5 seconds. Come on. All right, very good. More than 80% of the students have answered it correctly. Congratulations to those people who have answered all the 3 questions in a proper manner. So the answer is B, because creating artificial rain is something which is very artificial in nature. We are adding chemicals to the clouds to make sure the rain is happening. So that is an artificial method. Mains question. Nature-based solutions can provide sustainable solution to India's water management challenges. Very simple question. It's just a 10 marker. It is just telling that nature-based solutions can provide sustainable solutions. Whatever nature-based solutions we have mentioned here, even this particular options can be your side headings. Rejuvenating local pond can be a side heading. Enhancing natural ecosystem services is a side heading. Developing grey infrastructure is a side heading. Life movement initiative is a side heading. I have explained all these things in a proper manner in the session. You just have to make sure you write the points and then make sure an answer is built up. Fine. So let's start with the next topic, a very small topic, students. Agni mission, leveraging technology and innovation for clean water. To make sure clean water is provided to the people, Indian government said, let us get in technology also. A lot of scientists are there, a lot of small scale startups are there, a lot of micro, small and medium enterprises are there, which are developing a lot of technologies. Let us get these technologies, let us implement these technologies in places which has high amount of water stress, and we will make sure these areas get proper clean drinking water. This is the idea behind the Agni mission. Government of India launched Agni mission to facilitate high impact, affordable, scalable, sustainable technological solutions to ensure clean water is given to the entire population. How are we doing this? Let us go to the topic. What is Agni mission? Accelerating growth of New India's innovation. See, the idea is very simple. India is a developing country. We have a lot of scientific innovations here. But the problem is people are not able to get this idea into the general general population. They are not able to make it as a business idea. Lot of ideas are proposed by students, by engineers, by budding engineers, but then we are not getting it commercialized. So what the government thought is, people are making innovations, let us identify these innovations, let us act as a bridge. The government will act as a bridge, the Agni mission will act as a bridge. It will get these ideas, these innovations implemented in the country. Agni is one of the 9 missions under Prime Minister's Science, Technology, Innovation Advisory Council. Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Advisory Council was developed to make sure we are giving enough importance to the science and technology. We have a principal scientific advisor who reports directly to the Prime Minister of the country. Principal scientific advisor. This Agni mission comes directly under the principal scientific advisor. Here, as I mentioned, we are acting as a bridge. The government is acting as a bridge between innovators and adopters. Innovators means people who are coming up with the idea. Adapters are the people who need this technology, who are the general population. The mission is to support and augment initiatives undertaken by multiple stakeholders. We identify who are all the people who have come up with some solution. Here particularly we are talking about water conservation, utilization of water. So if there is a person who has come up with some technology, let's say you yourself, if you are an engineer or if you are from some scientific field, if you have built some technology to give water in the desert region or give clean drinking water in the coastal region usually will have saline water. So you can mention this and the Agni mission will come up. They will see the effectiveness of your idea. If it is very effective, if they are convinced, they will take this idea, they will implement it in such regions which will give water to those people, which will reward you also. This is the basic idea behind the Agni mission. It connects owners of innovative and new frontier solution with the market. What is the Agni mission? It acts as a bridge between the innovators and adopters, which we already discussed, creating scalable impact. This is what we want. India is a country with huge amount of population. We need technologies which will be used by everyone, which are cheap enough so that the general population, the rural population which do not have much economy with them, they should be able to use it. Very good example, if there is a technology, and let's say that even small scale micro, small and medium industries or some women self-help group, they can build those technology. If you just teach them how to build this technology, if these people are able to build it, that is scalable. It can be implemented all over the country. Such solutions are promoted. Better understand the community needs. Relevant technology, a lot of technologies are there which are not completely relevant to the country, but with this mission we will identify what are the technologies which are completely relevant, which are very important at this point of time, very significant. We will promote such kind of innovative ideas. Empowering the bottom pyramid, people who are from the bottom pyramid, who do not have any business background but they have the scientific acumen to come up with a technology, they will get promoted. People who are in the rural region, who are in the lowermost region of the country, who needs such technologies, they will also get benefited. That is what we call as Antyodaya, the lowermost section of the society getting promoted. getting progressed. It will result in promotion of ideas such as artificial intelligence, quantum computing, robotics, cyber physical systems getting developed, and these systems, these ideas coming up with solutions which are cheaper in nature. So we have discussed about Agni mission. Let us see how Agni has a very good role in clean water solutions. First and the foremost, mapping of rural pain points. They call it as pain points. Pain point means, see, India is a very vast region. We discussed already. We said that some parts have high amount of water, some parts have very less amount of water. So we need to know what are all the points where water is less available. What are all the regions which actually need some intervention? First, mapping has to be done. How do we do that? We will do field surveys, we'll do field visit, we will come up with focus group discussion. Focus group discussion means we will discuss with the rural population, we will discuss with the people, we will discuss with the scientific advisors, and then we will say this particular region need intervention from the government. First, mapping of the pain points. Second, building India's clean water technology ecosystem. How do we do that? By improving the availability as well as quality. This point you have to remember. Water has to be available first. When I said about the Jal Jeevan mission, I told first make sure water is available to the people. Then you can talk about conservation. First make sure water is available, then make sure clean water is available. Finally you tell that we have to conserve water. So this is the first point. Very good example I'll tell you about this particular Agni mission's success. Some of the very good technologies were implemented in very good places. Very good example for this is atmospheric water generators implemented in Secunderabad railway station in Telangana. Secunderabad is closely located with the Hyderabad. Here, what they did is the Telangana government in the railway station, they came up with the idea of atmospheric water generators. What atmospheric water generators do, they will collect the humidity, the moisture that is available in the atmosphere. They will convert the moisture into water. After converting, they will add minerals to the water. This particular generator will convert the humidity into water, it will add minerals to the water, and then it will provide you with mineralized water. Without any resource, just by collecting humidity, they are doing it. Such solutions can be implemented in regions such as the western part of Rajasthan, the arid regions of Gujarat, in Ladakh, where there is no water at all. Humidity is there everywhere. So such measures can be implemented. Second one, artificial intelligence based electromagnetic mapping technology. Let's say there is a region, a very plain region, very dry region of, let's say, 100 acres. If we do a electromagnetic mapping here, what is electromagnetic mapping? We will have a radar kind of technology. This radar will shoot out electromagnetic rays. The rays will go in depth into the ground. If there is a water resource here, the rays will get reflected in a different pattern. We can easily identify if there is an underground resource, water resource or not. If we identify that there is a huge amount of water resource here, we can actually drill a bore well and we can use the water. Such technologies should be promoted. So this is for identification and giving water. To improve the quality of water, very good example is CSIR's Indian Institute of Toxicology Research, Lucknow. They developed a technology called ONIR. So this is a small machine which works on solar panels, which works on solar energy. It will collect the water, whatever pollutants are there, whatever bacteria are there, it will kill all the bacteria. It will give you a clean drinking water, and the cost you will incur for this particular technology is just 2 paise per liter. Very cheap. So such methods has to be implemented in rural areas where high amount of polluted water is available. Another one, monitoring solutions. Whatever plan we are implementing, whatever scheme we are implementing, we should make sure it is monitored properly. How do we get to know that there is this particular scheme has been providing result? Let us say that there is a website, or let us say that there is a internet based portal. In this portal, if a project is implemented at a particular place, let's say the government is claiming that 100 liters of clean water is provided to this region every day, it should be getting updated there. And there should be a space for people to raise complaints. If there is any problem, people can actually raise complaint there. The government will get to know immediately. Government will be able to react. Such solutions has to be implemented. Internet based solutions should be implemented, which will result in real time monitoring of water quality and quantity. Collaboration for clean water. Agni makes sure that it doesn't act in an individual manner. It will collaborate with various stakeholders such as non-profit organizations, NGOs, government departments, ministries, corporates. It will unite all the people who are working towards the field of water conservation, and it will make sure you are provided with a very good service. Another good example is quenching Eastern India's thirst. Eastern part of the country, Bihar, Jharkhand, etc., are facing huge amount of water crisis because the amount of water they get from the ground, it is highly contaminated with heavy minerals such as iron, arsenic. Iron and arsenic contamination is there. These are heavy metal contamination. If you drink a lot of water with these, if you drink a lot of such contaminated water, you will get kidney failure. You will end up getting huge amount of problems. Blood related problems will happen. Sometime it will result in damage of your liver, your intestine, etc. So to provide a solution, what the Agni has done, it collaborated with the Aga Khan Foundation. It recommended a purification technology which was developed by Baba Atomic Research Center. This particular technology is a filtration technology. This technology will make sure if you get in water which is contaminated with heavy minerals such as iron and arsenic, it will completely filter the iron and arsenic. It will provide a proper water which is consumable. Such technologies are localized technologies which should be implemented in that particular place. Partnering with global stakeholders. Global stakeholders such as WaterAid. WaterAid is a global NGO. It has been doing very good work all over the world. What Agni is doing is it is getting in touch with such kind of NGOs. They are getting to know what kind of technologies they are using. They identify whether we can use it in our own country or not, and then they will utilize it in the country. This WaterAid has conducted a virtual technology showcase. This point is not important, but anyways, the most important point is they are collaborating with a global NGO. All right. So we know that we have a lot of issues. We have come up with the Agni mission. Agni mission can be asked in prelims. Very, very important topic. In mains, you can actually use this as an example. They can ask separate individual question on Agni too. It's very important. For conclusion, what you will write is the success of Agni mission is very crucial in order to ensure clean water, since it is working to leverage affordable, scalable, sustainable and universal technology, because it is making sure each and every region's demand is solved. You have certain problem in the eastern part of the country, that should be resolved. You have separate problem in the northern part of the country, that should be resolved. Identify the technology and implement it. That is very, very important. So innovative solutions are ensured for provisioning of clean water to Indian citizens both in rural and urban part of the country. This will be your conclusion. Let us start with the prelims question here, students. Consider the following statements regarding the Agni mission launched by Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor. Right. So two statements are given. As I always tell, when it is a statement based question, you have to give very good importance. You have to read the statement in a clear manner. Get a complete idea. Let us read the statement. It is working towards bridging the gap between innovators and adopters of clean water technology solution. First statement. Evidence-based technology intervention lies at the core of Agni mission. This is the second statement. So very simple very simple question. It's not at all a difficult question. So let us answer this. All right, students, let's start answering this. Okay, students, if you are marking wrong answers, do not worry about Mayank, especially. You don't have to be sorry about it. When you are answering the next question, make sure you answer in a proper manner. People who have who feel that the answers are not provided, you can wait by the end and your answers will be given by me. All right, congratulations to all those who have answered very well. Ilakya, Abhijit, Nandini, Kiran, Krishna, etc., all these people, congratulations. And most of the people have answered very well properly. The answer is C, both 1 and 2 are correct. Let's start with the mains question. Clean water technological solutions need to be cost effective and sustainable too. I hope all of you accept this. India is a developing country. We need solutions which are cost effective and sustainable too. Discuss the relevance of this statement in the light of India's commitment to sustainable development goals. It is an indirect question. Sustainable development goals is what? Conservation of water, clean water. That is the sustainable development goal sits. So here you can tell that when you see that statement which tells cost effective and sustainable water solution, immediately you should think about Agni mission. The question has not mentioned about Agni mission, but indirectly it talks about Agni mission. I hope take this as a homework. I'm not telling you how to write answer for this, but based on whatever discussion we have had earlier, the answer is in the solution which we have told. Write answers for it, get it corrected. Send to Target IAS, get it corrected. You can even discuss, you can call to the mentorship helpline and discuss with the mentor about the answer. They will explain you. So try to take initiative, students. After a particular point, you are the people who have to take the initiative. Start writing answer from now on. Final topic, a small topic. We will complete it soon. Keeping water resources clean. We have told that we have water problem. We have told we have to preserve our water resources. We have told that whatever water we are providing to the people, it has to be clean. If you are providing dirty water, if you are providing contaminated water, it is inhuman in nature. Getting good water is indirectly a fundamental right. So we have to provide clean water. How do we do this? Let us see in this particular topic. The context is clean drinking water is a necessity for the overall improvement of public health too. Most of the health issues we get because of contaminated water, especially in the slum region, in the peri-urban region, in cities specifically. We have huge amount of contaminated water getting into the drinking water. People do not know how to clean this. All the people do not have a separate RO plant in their home. So they are dependent on municipal water. When the municipal water do not follow a particular standard, this will result in health issues. And if it is told by the United Nations organization that if a country do not provide good water, and if that country is facing health issues because of it, around 6% of GDP of the country is gone for such health issues. Government have to spend. If health issues are happening, government has to spend, and people become unemployed. If they have health issue, they will not be able to employ. The death rate will increase. People with disease burden will not be a resourceful person to the country. So to prevent all these things, we have to promote proper drinking water in the country. Our finite resources should be judiciously used. Judiciously means should be used in a proper manner to accommodate the rising population also. Fine. Some basic details about the water resources. About 71% of Earth's surface is covered with water, but most of the water are in the form of ocean water or in the form of glaciers, which we cannot use immediately. Very less amount of water is there which are ready to be tapped, ready to be used by the people. Rivers, the well, pond, lake, etc. So we have the amount of water that is available is very less. We have to conserve it. Amount of water recommended by United Nations organization for our day-to-day use, for all the use, is around 50 liters per person per day. But in India, most of the people do not do not even meet this particular demand. 50 liters is very less, but even this demand is not met for most of the people. India provided a document to United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. We provided a document. The name of the document is India's Initial National Communication. When I'm putting a box around it or encircling it, that is very, very important for your exam. You have to note it down. India gave a communication to UNFCCC. The name of the document is India's Initial National Communication. In this document, the Indian government said, because of climate change, because of the impact of climate change, what are all the problems we will face as a country? What problems India will face? It said that water balance in different part of the country will be affected. If climate change is happening, different part of the country will have different kind of impacts. In one region, there will be excess water, one region, there will be less water. In the Himalayan region, glaciers will melt. This will result in excess water in the Himalayan rivers. But then in the southern part of the country, in the Deccan region, you will have very less amount of water. This is first point. Second, precipitation and evapotranspiration pattern will change. Precipitation means the rainfall. Amount of rainfall will change. If climate change is happening, monsoon will fail or excess monsoon will happen. Too much amount of rainfall in some region, very less amount of rainfall in some region. Amount of water that evaporates from the ground, that will be different, because climate change, increased amount of heat, that means increased amount of evaporation. This will again change the climate of the region. On groundwater level, people will start to use groundwater more. People do not get much water in the rivers. They will start to tap groundwater. Groundwater resource will go down. Sea level will increase. Why? Because of climate change, glaciers will melt. When glaciers melt, the amount of water in the oceans increase. When amount of water in the oceans increase, sea level will increase. When sea level increases, what will happen? India is a peninsular country. It is completely surrounded in three sides by the ocean. The ocean water will start to get into the land surface. It will have an impact on the entire coastal region of the country. High runoff and reduced recharge. See, as I mentioned once in the beginning of the session, I told that earlier monsoon used to extend for 5-6 months. But now, in the last 3 years specifically, you can see extreme amount of rainfall happened in June and July. The amount of rain that had to happen in 6 months, that happened in just 1 month. The ground was not able to absorb the water. If excess amount of rainfall happen in a very short period of time, the water will just run away. The amount of water increases in the land surface, which will just run away because of the quantity. When it is running away, it will result in flood. It will carry away all the plants, resources, everything. It will go to the ocean. We are not able to tap it. So these are all the things India told to the UNFCCC. Government initiatives to provide good water, to provide clean water, as I mentioned in the topic. What are all the initiatives the government has taken? First and the foremost, National Water Mission. The core idea behind the National Water Mission is integrated water resource management. When a water resource is there, you have to manage it, you have to conserve it. Do not give the responsibility to a single body. If there is a lake in a particular region, first the district, the municipality has to maintain the standard. It has to conserve the lake, but then the state should have some laws too. Apart from that, the center should have some mission. The fund should be coming from the center, fund should be coming from the states. Some NGO should be working there. So identify all these people, collaborate among them, integrated water resource management. More equitable distribution among and across within the states. Equal distribution of water to all the states. Whatever water is required for a state, that has to be provided. It identifies 5 important goals. Each and every goal is very, very important. Comprehensive water database. First, create a database. Tell that how much amount of water is available in a particular region. Identify which region wants more water. That should be there first. Second, citizen and state action for water conservation, augmentation, and preservation. When the state tells that water has to be conserved, make sure citizens are involved in it, NGOs are involved in it. Everyone get together and do an action so that the result will be good. Focused attention on vulnerable areas. Identify what are all the areas which are vulnerable, which face stress of water, which face drought kind of situation. Identify them and promote solutions for that particular area. Every area is different. We have to have different kind of solutions for each and every regions. Increasing water use efficiency by 20%. Water use efficiency means what? In India, we do not use water in an efficient manner. If we need 100 liter of water, we consume 200 liter of water. So efficiency has to be increased. It cannot be done in an immediate manner because a lot of use of technology should be there. At least try to improve the efficiency by 20%. Promotion of basin level integrated water resource management. What is basin level integrated water resource management? Let us assume that there is a river flowing like this. Here, what is the basin of the river? There will be some mountain here. There will be some city here. There will be some village here. So the amount of water that comes from the mountains, that is consumed by the city, consumed by the village, the entire region is the river basin. Whatever region a particular river's water is getting consumed, that region is called the basin. So if you have to preserve a river, you have to make sure proper solutions are implemented in the basin. The basin of the river should be saved. Proper implementation of all the schemes, all the act, all the regulation in the entire basin. Only then the river will be protected. So that idea has to be promoted. Second one, Jal Shakti Abhiyan, time bound, mission mode, water conservation campaign. Here, the government identified 256 water stressed districts in the country. Most water stressed 256 districts were identified. It said that in these districts we need immediate solution, else it will cause a serious drought condition in all these districts. It said, let the district come up with plans. Let the district identify what are all the villages in that district need immediate concern, need immediate solution. Let the Gram Panchayat come up with a plan. Let them identify what problem they are facing. Let them come up with solution. And this solution will be implemented by the state government, by the municipality, the central government will support it. This is the idea behind Jal Shakti Abhiyan. Proper communication and involvement of all communities. As I said, when the Gram Panchayat, when the Gram Sabha is involved, there will be proper communication. All kind of people will get involved in it. It also focuses on 5 aspects. First one, water conservation, rainwater harvesting will be promoted. Traditional water bodies, whichever were there, some kind of conservation body, if it was there, some kind of lake was there, it was not conserved, they will try to rejuvenate it, they will try to rebuild it. Reuse of water and recharging structure. Watershed development, we have already discussed what is a watershed. Watershed development will happen. Proper afforestation in all these places, in all these districts. The district management, the state should make sure afforestation is happening. Proper conservation of the trees, prevention of deforestation should also be happening. Jal Shakti Abhiyan, Catch the River campaign is there. Catch the River campaign 2021 was given by the Indian government. It says whenever rain is falling in a particular region, we have to make sure the entire rain is captured. At least 30% of the rainwater you try to capture. Capture means what? Utilize it, conserve it, harvest the rainwater in a particular structure. Rainwater harvesting should be there. Underground water restoration should happen. All these things should be promoted. Jal Abhyaranya program to rejuvenate mountain natural springs in the Himalayas. Himalaya is a very big mountain chain which has a lot of rivers. Let's say 2 important rivers are flowing in this particular region. How this river will get the water? The mountain will have a lot of springs. There will be small spring from which water will flow, all this water which is coming from the spring, it will meet in the river. Small springs will get converted into a river. The problem these days is Niti Aayog found out that around 50% of the springs have become seasonal. These springs which used to give water all around the year, you would have studied that the Himalayan rivers are perennial because they get water all over the year. But in the recent times, most of the natural springs have become seasonal in nature. They have started to give water only during the monsoon. During other days, the amount of water flow is very less. This is a very serious threat because this may result in complete stoppage of water flow in the Himalayan rivers. This may result in disappearing of the Himalayan rivers too. So we need to promote solutions which will make sure the streams are functioning in a proper manner. How do we do that? Find out technology. Just like how Agni mission was there, find out some technology which will make sure the streams get enough amount of water all over the period. Promote community based approach. Educate the communities about the problems. Tell them that if the streams are gone, then you will not get any water, so you also have to conserve the streams. Whatever local measures has to be taken, let them take the measures. Providing water security to local communities by the year 2024. By the year 2024, try to provide the security of water to all the local communities, especially in those Himalayan states. How? By protecting the streams. These local streams are also known as Prava, Nola, and Dara in the local languages. One important project or one important innovation which we can discuss here is ice stupas of Ladakh. The entire Ladakh region is located at an altitude of around 3000 to 4000 meter above the ground level, above the mean sea level. So because of this, what is happening is the amount of water availability in Ladakh is very less. It is located at high altitude. In winters, the temperature will go down to 20 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius minus 30 degrees Celsius. The entire water resource will get frozen up. So when this is happening, there is no water availability. When water availability is not there, how will people live? There are very less amount of water available. And in the recent times, because of the climate change, during summer, there is no availability of water. During winter, the water is frozen up. They have to cultivate the ice and they have to melt it to drink water. In the summer, again, water are completely getting evaporated because of high amount of heat. So there is a person called Sonam Wangchuk. You must have heard about it. If you have not heard, try to get an idea about him. He is a person who comes up with a lot of scientific solution for the environmental issue. Sonam Wangchuk came up with a solution, that is ice stupas of Ladakh. What he said is, during winter, you get a lot of ice here. What you have to do is the community should get together and then they should build a ice stupa, a small hill or a small kind of mountain which is filled with ice. During winter, the stupa will be built. This is the land surface. A very big construction of ice, a glacier kind of structure will be built. It will be frozen up, it will not melt. During summer, what will happen when the temperature increases? This will start to melt. At that time, what you do, you connect a pipeline here. You will have a small structure here which will save the entire water. You will have a pipeline here. This pipeline will be connected to a proper tap water here. Again, you can have another pipeline. Here you can connect it with drip irrigation or sprinkler irrigation. When the water is melted, you will have a small kind of structure which will save all the water. You will have a pipeline which will get you drinking water. Here it is buried underground so that there will be enough amount of pressure. The water will flow in this manner and it will come out with high pressure. Here you have drip irrigation, you plant trees here, you can plant trees here, you can plant artificial forest here, you can do agriculture here, you will get enough amount of water. During summer, if it is not built, if there is no stupa like this, if there is no glacier like this, in reality what will happen, the water will melt and it will just run away. But what he tells us, you can do like this so that during summer artificially you will get all the water you need. If such solutions are implemented all over Ladakh, the water problem of Ladakh will be completely overcome. Such innovative solutions are what we require, because there is no cost incurred here, very less amount of money. If a community comes together, they collect money among themselves, they can actually build it. So such solutions are what we require at this point of time. What will be the conclusion for this? Water, being a valuable commodity, needs to be judiciously utilized. In this regard, government initiatives will not be enough. There should be proper cooperation, collaboration and coordination among all the stakeholders, which include the government, the individuals, the NGOs, corporates, etc. And then we will be able to provide clean, proper drinking water to the entire country. Let's start with the prelims question. A very simple question, students. Let's answer it as soon as possible. Which among the following is not the goal of National Water Mission? Which among the following is not the goal of National Water Mission? First statement, promotion of citizen and state action for water conservation, augmentation and preservation. Focused attention on vulnerable areas, including overexploited areas. Increasing water use efficiency by 50%, promotion of basin level integrated water resources management. Let's start the poll here. All right, students, final question of the day. Start answering it. All right, congratulations for all those students who have come up in the leaderboard, and most of the students have answered the solution 2 properly. The solution is C. Is not the goal of water mission, because in the National Water Mission we are telling that the efficiency will be increased by 20% only. Right. So let's go with the mains question. Ensuring the sustainability of the clean drinking water will be challenging given the potential threat of climate change. Analyze this statement. It is just a 10-mark question. Very simple. Sustainability of the clean drinking water will be very challenging in nature given the potential threat of climate change. We can mention that because of climate change, whatever changes that is happening, that can be a subheading. You can tell that the glaciers are melting. The amount of water that is melting from the Himalayan glaciers are extremely high. What are all the problems we face because of climate change? That should be mentioned. And then how do we come up with sustainable solution? That has to be mentioned. It should be written in 2 pages. You have to conclude it. See, Yojana and Kurukshetra are theme based magazines. They come up with specific themes. So whatever topics we are discussing, they will be based on specific themes. But then the idea which you get, that is very, very important for your mains examination. Whatever points you get, it is very important for your mains examination specifically. And the schemes which we are discussing, it is very important for your prelims examination also. Today we discussed two themes and then five topics out of it. I hope all of you understood the topics very well. Go through the handout also so that the important points you will be able to remember. So that's all for the session. If there are any doubts you have to ask, you can ask. I will be answering. Yes, Musba has asked, can't we make a connecting link between North Indian rivers and South Indian rivers to make South Indian rivers evergreen? Very good question. See, the problem is the logistics. When you have a river up in the north of the country and you have a gap of around 2000 kilometers between them, connecting becomes very, very difficult, very time consuming. And India is a country which is highly populated, heavily populated. So because of this, when you are connecting two rivers, a lot of land has to be used. Whereas in India, in almost all the places we have settled, we have people who have settled there. So taking the land will become very difficult. Again, if there is a forest, if there is a national forest, if there is a core forest, so will you be able to take land from the core forest? That will result in impact on the animals too. So this particular project is extremely very difficult to implement. If it is done, yes, the southern rivers will get enough amount of water, but then it is very, very difficult. Sai Kumar, if you have missed the session, do not worry about it. The session will be available in your Byju's exam prep app. You can watch it from there. Can we use river water for irrigation? Yes, Shivam, you can use river water for irrigation. Banning borewell and promoting municipality water, you cannot ban the entire borewell because in several regions you do not have any other water resources. If there is a region which does not have any other water resources, borewell is the solution. But then you can tell, the government can tell that the amount of water you collect from borewell, it should not cross a particular limit. The government can make sure that there is a water meter that is implemented there. This water meter will read properly how much quantity of water is collected by the person. If it is collected above a particular limit, some kind of tax or some kind of penalty can be implemented. By doing this, this problem will be overcome. Is commerce and accountancy a good optional, Vinith? Yes, yes, it is a good optional. If you are from that background, you can always take. Abhijit, how to clean groundwater from arsenic and iron? As I mentioned, there are filtering technologies which will identify particular mineral based on the density of the mineral. Extremely heavy minerals can be filtered. Multiple levels of filtration will be there, which will make sure just the water is coming out and all the iron content and arsenic content is saved behind. So we can actually do that. How atmospheric generator will help in Rajasthan? See, atmospheric generator, you will be able to get good amount of water if enough amount of humidity is there. So before implementing an atmospheric generator, you need to identify how much amount of humidity or moisture is present in that particular region. If you have enough amount of atmospheric moisture, then you can use atmospheric generator there. The moisture will be sucked in by the generator. It will convert it into water. Yes, Nasla, I will answer you. How to write a better introduction and conclusion? Introduction should be a small summary of your entire answer. Whatever answer you are going to give, it should be summarized in a small way. You can write some facts, you can write some details, you can mention some crucial information there. Then your introduction will be good. Conclusion, mostly make sure you write a positive conclusion. If, for example, water problem is there, you can mention in the conclusion that we have to promote these kind of measures. We have already promoted all the schemes. If this is implemented by the time of 2024 or 25, we will be able to give enough water to our villages, enough tapped drinking water to all our people. So such ideas you have to give. It should be like a way forward or a positive conclusion. All right, fine students, the time is up. So let us conclude this. If you have any question, again, based on this topic, you can call to the mentorship helpline or you can write to Target IAS. We will get back to you and you will get a clarity about it. But then go through all the topics again in the handout and write answer for whatever question we have provided. Good night for the day.